Hello, hello, my dear health seekers. Inga from Health Origins here, and welcome to my Cook Along for Weight Loss show. So today it's super exciting episode. I'm gonna be making red velvet chocolate truffles. So this is such an exciting recipe, and it's perfect for as an edible Christmas gift as well, because obviously these things you don't wanna make too far ahead of time because they only last, a few days kept in the fridge. So this is a recipe that I first found on buywholefoodsonline.com. So this is actually a website where we buy most of our kind of bulk goodies, and this is a beetroot juice powder, so that's what we're going to need, and I'm going to link to you to that beetroot juice powder and that website. It's really good. They've got some really lovely organic whole foods on that website, and I think because they've got that recipe on there, and that's where I spied it. But the original recipe, I believe, is from the Humble Pescatarian. So let's begin. So for that, we will need some cream cheese, and I'm here making half a recipe, so I'm going to put the full recipe down in the description below, because I already made half of the recipe ahead of time, because you need to put the truffles in for about 15-20 minutes in the freezer before you coat them in chocolate. So obviously I don't want to make you wait that long, so I made half a batch beforehand, and we're going to be making. So this is something what it's going to look like after we finish with this step, and then we're going to proceed with coating with the chocolate. So you would need 2 tubs of vegan cream cheese, right? I've got 1 tub here, but this is my homemade soy cream cheese. I'll link to the recipe in the card above and in the description below as well. It's so easy to make from your homemade soy yogurt. You just basically strain it, let it drip out for a few hours, and you've got a cream cheese. So 1 batch of the cream cheese. Then we've got, again, remind you, just this is for half a recipe, yeah? So we've got 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and it's best to sieve these ingredients, because with the beetroot powder, they had like a few little bigger bits, what you perhaps necessarily wouldn't want to find in your truffle. So I've sieved it. So it's a tablespoon and a half for this half recipe of the beetroot powder. And the original recipe, and I forgot some salt. I'll bring some salt. Original recipe did not have any sugar added, right? But even I've added 1 tablespoon to my original recipe, I still found that it's kind of lacking a little bit of sweetness for me. Yes, we will get some sweetness from the chocolate coating on the top, but I still feel like I would like a little bit more inside the truffle too. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of rapadura sugar, right? That's been ground up into a caster sugar. So this is 2 tablespoons, kind of caster sugar consistency of rapadura or brown sugar, or you could use coconut sugar as well. So that goes in, and I'm gonna just get some salt, because we need a little pinch of salt just to accentuate that sweetness. So, by the way, I'm sorry I'm late today because we're redecorating our living room. We've been on it for a couple of days. So yeah, sorry. By the time I've stopped painting and started preparing, the time has run away from me. So yeah, so a good pinch of salt here. And you need, for a full recipe, you need 50 grams of dark chocolate. It says melted, but because it's half recipe, I would say, you'd need 25 grams, but actually I've kind of like putting a little bit more. So I'll put, I've got it all in bain-marie, you know, there's some hot water, and I'm obviously steamed the chocolate on top, and it's melted nicely. So I'm gonna just add 3 generous tablespoons, and that will be, you know, maybe about 30 grams or so. Actually, probably about 2.5 tablespoons of hot chocolate, of melted dark chocolate will do. And for the dark chocolate, a good tip for you that I got from another guy that I met in a vegan festival is that he buys his dark chocolate in Lidl. So they sell these, you know, 100-gram bars of really nice dark chocolate for like 45 or 49 pence per chocolate, when normally it's about £2. So that will give you quite a bit of a saving, especially if you want to coat quite a few of these truffles. So yeah, Lidl for dark chocolate. So yeah, and then we're just gonna blend everything together until it's uniform, and it should look nice and velvety, red velvet color from the beetroots. It should color it nicely. The previous batch I did with a immersion stick blender, but I think it kind of liquefies it too much. So I think you're better off sticking with spoon or silicone spatula and the bowl and actually doing it by hand, because this way I think it doesn't get as liquefied. It might not mix as well, mind you. It might not be like completely, absolutely uniform. So you can play around with it. Let's see how well I can incorporate it. I might end up whizzing it with the stick blender in the end. So yeah, it's kind of getting there. As you can see, it's getting a bit pinky color now. So yeah, so just keep working at it. And I think a good tip is as well, once you made this mass, then it's probably a good idea to to put it in the fridge for an hour or so it kind of firms a little bit up. Or maybe 5-10 minutes in the freezer, just so that it's a bit easier for you to form. Otherwise, it's quite very sticky, I must say. But we'll persevere with it. Yeah, so it's getting there. It's still got a few lumps of cream cheese and of the cocoa. I can see. So yeah, I think what I'll do, I'll finish this off with the stick blender after the show. But for now, what I'll show you how I actually how you roll the truffles. So what you want about I would say small tablespoon, depending how big you want your truffles. If you want them larger, do a tablespoon perhaps. If you want them smaller, then do maybe a teaspoon. But the most important thing is to have your plate powdered with the cocoa powder, right? And also you need to powder your hands really well. I'll take my ring off. Yeah, so powder your hands really well, and it's a messy procedure, this, right? So be prepared to clean up the kitchen afterwards. So yeah, so I'm gonna just drop about a small tablespoons of this, and I think I need more powder on my hands, to be honest. You really need to make sure it doesn't stick, and you kind of, and it's still sticking a little bit because it's quite, like I say, I think you're better off better off putting this in the fridge for a couple of hours, or at least an hour, because then this chocolate will start kind of solidifying a bit, and it'll stiffen the mixture. But anyway, so there you go. So we've got quite a nice looking truffle here, and then you just pop it on the plate, and then once you roll them all, then you put it in a freezer for 15 minutes, and then we're ready to coat them in chocolate. So let me just quickly wash my hands, and then we're going to be dipping them in chocolate. And the quantity for the for melting the chocolate, the recipe said 250 grams, but you know, they were coating it with a toothpick and then kind of rolling, so I don't know whether they wanted more chocolate there. I'm gonna be just doing with, I only got about 150 grams here actually, so I can always melt some more and, you know, make some more to coat. So I've got my chocolate, so I'm gonna just pick my truffles up, re-roll them a little bit, and drop it in my chocolate and cover it. Yeah, cover, and you best doing it with 2 spoons as well. You can do the toothpick method. Mine actually didn't freeze very much, to be honest. Maybe you know, I should have kept it a little bit longer. Mine, maybe I kept them in for 10 minutes. And then once you're happy with the coating of the chocolate, then just put it on the parchment paper. It's so very important. Don't put it on the plate or glass somewhere, because I've done a mistake with other truffles that I was making, that I put it in a glass container and it just stuck to the glass, right? So you want parchment paper in there so it's easy to take off the truffle afterwards. So yeah, so just take the truffle and make it a little bit rounder. Drop it into my chocolate, cover it. And then once we are happy with it, then drop it on a, oh, this is going to be like really thickly coated. The only thing with this chocolate, I'm going to say, it's not a very thin chocolate, so it coats it really thickly, right? So perhaps if you don't like your chocolates covered too thickly, you might want to add, I know people add, like, say, a tablespoon of oil to thin it out, although I don't believe in oil. But also you can buy in Lidl, there's a different kind of chocolate that you can get, that it's kind of Amazonas, I think it's called, and then it's got 4 individual little strips wrapped inside it, so that chocolate is much thinner, you know, once it kind of melts, and it coats the truffles, you know, in a lighter layer, if you like. This one is a massive one. So yeah, so that is it pretty much. This is how you make the truffles. So I'm going to continue on with the rest of the truffles, and I'm going to obviously make another batch to go in the freezer and finish those off as well. And once these, so you can put it in the fridge to set, or even keep it in a colder room, or even in room temperature, the chocolate will set. And then once it's set, it's important to keep these chocolates in the fridge. So I would say probably it's best to just put it in the container now and into the fridge, so until they set, and then keep it in the fridge, and they should be good if kept in the fridge for about 5 days. So yeah, so we're just about all right to give it as presents to people. So if you were, obviously, you know, if Christmas or whatever other occasion was a few more days away, then perhaps you would leave it, making it the night before or a couple of days before, so that people have a few days to actually enjoy your truffles. And unfortunately, because that hasn't quite fully set, I'm not going to be able to do the taste test. And although I could maybe just half it with the knife and maybe have it. I mean, it's obviously not going to be fully set, but yeah, I can still try a piece for you. So let me just cut it in half. Oh, actually, it's starting to set, guys. It's looking pretty yummy. So see if we can see. So there's like red center and then the chocolate on the side. Now it's still obviously haven't set properly, but let me taste test this. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. In fact, actually, because the outside chocolate is quite sweet, the batch that I made is actually perfect. It's not so this might be actually too sweet, so yeah, I take it back. Either no sugar at all, like the original recipe said, or 1 tablespoon of some kind of castor, brown sugar should be enough, because this might be, because there's 2, might be just a little bit slightly too sweet, because truffles don't tend to be very sweet, because the coating of the chocolate already gives the sweetness. Oh my goodness, it's so delicious. I think I'm gonna it's still a bit sticky, so yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna enjoy that in a minute. But yeah, guys, I definitely recommend you try these. Mark is going to be so happy to taste test them later. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and let me know if you're going to try them for gifts or just as a dessert for yourself. Have you ever made any red velvet, either cake or desserts? Let me know. And if you're new here, welcome. And subscribe to my channel for Sunday Cook Along for Weight Loss show at 7 o'clock GMT time, and Wednesdays new videos out every Wednesday. And as always, remember, food is fuel, so be mindful of what you put in your body. Until next time.